ではそのように。ファイルは明日送らさせていただきます。はい。ありがとうございます。夜ご遅くすいません。失礼いたしました。
Tokyo, a city that never truly sleeps. It's a place where dreams are chased endlessly, but also where loneliness hides in plain sight. Kana is one of those dream chasers. At 25, she works in a large corporate building overlooking Shibuya Crossing. Every morning, she ties her hair neatly, straightens her blazer, and reminds herself that today will be another chance to prove her worth. She smiles politely, keeps her head high, and does her best to stay strong, even when exhaustion begins to whisper that she's pushing herself too hard. But behind that smile lies something deeper, the quiet ache of solitude. Her days are filled with meetings, deadlines, and endless responsibilities. And while everyone seems connected, Kana often feels invisible, like a small light struggling to shine amid Tokyo's dazzling skyline.
お疲れ様です。
The only person who seems to notice is Oma, the security guard stationed at the lobby downstairs. He's not loud or overly cheerful. He simply greets everyone with a nod, a calm smile, and a tone that carries genuine care. To most, he's just part of the daily routine. But to Kana, his simple kindness stands out like a pause in a never-ending rush.
まだお帰りになってなかったんですか？
すいません。今終わりました。帰りますね。
いいえ、お気になさらず大丈夫ですよ。でも大丈夫ですか？随分お疲れのようですが。
そうですね。ありがとうございます。
It was nothing special, but somehow it felt comforting. For those brief moments, she felt seen, not as an employee or a face in a crowd, but as a person.
やだ、こんな時間だ。帰らないと。ではお願いします。
お疲れ様です。
That small exchange becomes something Kana unconsciously looks forward to. She doesn't know why. Maybe it's the warmth in his voice, or the way he remembers her name, even when others don't. Oma, in his quiet simplicity, becomes the only reminder that kindness still exists in a city obsessed with speed. She walks home, thinking about them, realizing how long it's been since anyone told her to take care of herself. A week later, after a long work week, she decided to take a rare day for herself. She wandered aimlessly around the city and stopped at a small coffee shop. For the first time in a long while, she allows herself to sit in silence, to simply exist. Then, the door opens, and in walks Oma. "Oh, Miss Kana," he says. "Didn't expect to see you here." For a moment, Kana blinks, surprised. The man she only sees in the structured routine of office life suddenly appears here in this cozy human space. Oma notices her, equally startled, then smiles with genuine warmth.
よかったらどうぞ。
すいません、失礼します。
He hesitated a moment before asking if he could sit nearby. She agreed, and just like that, two people who had only exchanged a few greetings began to have a real conversation. At first, their words are simple. Small talk about work, the weather, and the crowded trains. But soon, the tone softens. Kana finds herself opening up, talking about how tiring it can be to keep chasing goals without knowing what enough really means. Oma listens quietly, never interrupting, his expression calm and understanding. "You remind me of someone I used to know," he says gently. "She worked so hard that she forgot why she started in the first place." Sometimes, life isn't about going faster. It's about finding meaning in the small steps. Kana smiles, touched. "That's something I needed to hear." Outside, the rain eases into a mist, sunlight filtering through the clouds. Inside, something subtle shifts, a quiet connection, unspoken but real. For the first time, Kana doesn't feel alone in her struggle. Oma's words, though simple, carry warmth, the kind that comes from someone who truly sees you, not just the role you play. That evening, as she returns home, Kana finds herself smiling without realizing it. Not the polite smile she gives at work, but a genuine one, born from connection. The following weeks unfold like quiet chapters in a slow-moving story. Every morning, Kana greets Oma in the lobby with her usual smile. Every evening, she waves goodbye before disappearing into the train crowd. Their exchanges remain simple, but something about them has changed. There's warmth now, a sense of familiarity that words can't quite define. Yet, as the company prepares for a major project, Kana's workload begins to pile up again. Deadlines multiply, messages flood her inbox, and meetings stretch late into the night. That small spark of calm she once found in the café slowly begins to fade under the pressure of endless expectations. She tells herself this is temporary. "Just get through this month," she whispers. "Then you can rest." But the month turns into 2, and exhaustion begins to show in her eyes. That day, long after most of the office has gone dark, Kana is still at her desk. The city outside glows with its usual beauty, but tonight, even Tokyo feels distant. Her phone buzzes with another reminder, another task, another demand for perfection. Her hands tremble slightly as she exhales. The world feels heavy. When she finally decides to leave, the building is silent except for the soft hum of lights. As she walks toward the elevator, she feels a little dizzy, not dramatically, but just enough to make her pause. At the lobby, Oma looks up from his desk. His expression changes immediately.
大丈夫ですか？水戸さん。
Without another word, he brings her a chair and a small cup of warm water. Oma crouches nearby, keeping a respectful distance but an attentive presence. "You've been pushing yourself again, haven't you?" he says gently. "Sometimes trying too hard can make you lose sight of what you're working for." Kana looks down, the words sinking deep. "I just don't want to disappoint anyone." "Then don't forget yourself in the process," he replies. "The people who truly value you will never want you to suffer for their approval." There's no dramatic music, no sudden confession, just quiet truth. It's in this silence that Kana realizes something profound. She's been chasing validation when what she truly needed was peace. She smiles faintly, her eyes tired but softer. "You always know what to say?" Oma chuckles. Maybe it's just easier to see clearly when you're standing still. That simple line stays with her. For the first time, she begins to understand that life's meaning doesn't come from constant movement, but from moments that make you feel alive connected, human. Later that night, Kana returns home. She makes herself a promise, not to stop dreaming, but to start living with more care, more presence, more gratitude. She silently thanks the one person who reminded her that even in a restless city, kindness can be the calm that saves you. The next morning, the city feels different. Not because Tokyo has slowed down, but because something inside Kana has shifted. It feels like starting life again, gently, patiently, with intention. At work, things remain demanding, but Kana handles them differently now. She takes short breaks, remembers to breathe, and smiles when she greets her coworkers. Her pace hasn't slowed, but her heart has softened. She no longer sees her responsibilities as battles to win, but as opportunities to grow. And every day, as Oma patrolled the hallways, he noticed a change. Her eyes no longer look distant. They shine again with quiet confidence. "You look better," he says with a kind smile. Kana laughs softly. "Maybe I finally listened to your advice." Oma shakes his head modestly. It wasn't advice. It was just a reminder. You already had that strength in you. His words stayed with her deeper than she expected. That weekend, Kana decided to do something she had never done before. She took some time off and took care of her living space and thought about what had happened during the past time. She went to see Oma. She came with a shy smile. "I think I should thank you." Oma accepts it with surprise, then warmth. "Thank you, Miss Kana. You didn't have to." "I wanted to," she replies, "because you were there when I needed someone to remind me of what really matters." There's a quiet pause, not awkward, but peaceful. The kind of silence that speaks of mutual respect and shared understanding. There's no dramatic confession, no movie-like ending. Just two people finding quiet comfort in each other's presence. And somehow, that simplicity feels perfect. As the afternoon sun glows over Tokyo's skyline, Kana realizes something profound. Love doesn't always begin with fireworks or fate. Sometimes it begins with compassion, with the person who offers you a moment of rest when the world demands too much. She thinks about how far she's come, not in titles or promotions, but in peace of mind. She's learned that even in a city of millions, true connection is rare and precious. And when it finds you, it doesn't ask for anything in return. It simply teaches you how to live more gently. In the restless rhythm of Tokyo, two hearts found peace through kindness. Kana learned that strength isn't measured by endless effort, but by balance, gratitude, and care. And Oma reminded us all, love doesn't need grand gestures to be real. This cinematic love story celebrates the beauty of empathy, human connection, and the small moments that change our lives forever.